Spearphishing and phishing have proven to be one of the most effective means for bad guys to break into systems. They send emails to a vast number of people. Those emails, a few of them manage to trick those individuals, or just a few individuals, into clicking or opening an attachment. That's phishing. Spearphishing, they very carefully craft an email, let's say to a CEO or to a manager or to a CFO, and they manage to trick that individual into clicking on a link or opening a document. Based on that, they gain a foothold. This has been a tremendous problem, and as we've seen with huge ransomware exploits or other malware, the entry point is almost always a phishing or spearphishing email. I've spoken to some experts in the industry about this topic, and I've asked them to start with, why is this still a problem? We've been working with email for 30 or 40 years now in different sorts. Why can't we reliably and accurately detect bad emails, bad email attachments, malicious emails, and block them?
The economic model for an attacker is easy. It's unstoppable because I can send 100 or 10,000 emails to my target, and if it's well written and it looks legitimate, and the best spearphishing emails look legitimate, look well researched, look very well written in their native language, it's compelling enough for the employee to click on the link. And the reality is, as an attacker, I don't have to be successful every time, but as an employee, as a protector of my employees, I have to get it right every time. And the well-crafted originality of these emails means that people will make bad decisions because we're all humans.
We're never going to get rid of all of the phishing attacks because there's just so many of them. It's so effective. If you even weed out 99%, that 1%, that's still a big number. And so I think that's why we still get this residual exposure to phishing. And obviously, the people who are executing these phishing attacks are also getting better and better at execution. So sometimes the emails that you get are virtually indistinguishable from the real thing. So the poor user is like, well, do I not open this email? Do I not click on this link?
If you look at where money could be made in terms of cyber criminality, then it's that bit. What I understood is that make more money on cyber criminals make more money than drug dealers or drug producers actually make. So as there's a lot of money involved on that side, there will always be people which are selling not so good stuff.
Blocking bad email is one very difficult item because people click on anything. They love to click on links inside of an email. Email is very easy to forge, and it's one of the cheapest, most accessible ways for an attacker to penetrate an organization. So the challenge we have is, no matter how much email we block, the variety of devices, the variety of people, frankly, part of the human behavior is to just open it and click on it for instant gratification. I don't think we're ever seeing an end of email-based attacks.
Companies work hard to train their employees to not click on links, to not open bad emails, to not open bad attachments. Yet, no matter how effective they are, whether it's 90%, 99%, 5 nines, there will still be some that are tricked, that click on a link, that open a document they shouldn't open. This could, in some cases, install malware. It could, in some cases, open the door to hackers. What can enterprises do to detect those activities, and what can they do to recover from them?
What you have to do is you have to segregate your environment. You have to focus security on what is important to you and make sure that your end users, especially, I don't want to say lower end users, but people that are doing, tasks that may give access to systems that they don't need access to. So segregate your systems. Make sure that if you're in accounting, you only have access to the accounting system. There's no need for you to be accessing the IT systems, things like that.
I guess if we look at the stat from Verizon Data Breach Report, which is that 91% of spearphishing attacks are credential theft-driven attacks, what we have to think about is what happens in a credential theft attack. It's an employee clicking on a web page. So what we have to do is think about new ways of controlling the interaction between the employee and that web page. And this is where some of the problems we're looking at solving at Menlo Security is understanding that context, that it's a link that's coming from a URL shortening service that an employee's clicked on it from. And now we can do things like put pages in read-only mode, where we can now coach the employee about the risk that this email that they clicked on originated from. But now we can preempt the employee going to a suspicious site and saying, look, we're going to actually physically prevent you from logging in your username and password by default because we don't trust it. And I think that really is the moral of this is trust nothing. Let's assume everything is suspicious and dangerous, and it's for us to prove otherwise, not the other way around. And that's the tenet of the security industry still. Prove bad, not good. Wrong way around.
Building in the right policies and then enforcing those with the right technologies. Which means that whenever something happens and something out of the ordinary occurs, that automatically technologies start running and say, hold on, this is not good, this is not correct. What is that? Why is that strange IP address now suddenly downloading massive amount of files or maybe even uploading something? And there are tools out there which can block those things and see locations, see devices, see anomalies and react to it. For instance, a CASB like Bitglass can react to certain anomalies and block them as a whole, or then maybe do an alert or whatever the policy might be, and that what you could put in there. It's not the holy grail, it's at least something you can do. And then also, of course, do some forensics in terms of, okay, what is the source? Where did it come from? Maybe if it happens again, we'll have at least some coverage to say, hold on, I recognize this correctly, and I will block it too.
Not all phishing and spearphishing emails, of course, go to corporate email addresses. Now, there are some companies that use Gmail for their email, or they use Google Apps. But in many cases, the emails are received perhaps by old age pensioners or received by the CEO on his or her personal email account. What can be done by carriers and service providers working with industry to try to protect those emails where you don't have a corporate IT department doing training and installing anti-malware software?
I think a lot of the ISPs, a lot of the email service providers, they are doing a lot, but you can only do so much. If you look in people's spam folders, if you look at your own spam folder, you'll see how much actual email these service providers are weeding out. It's just the fact that it's not a secure platform. There is no way to completely weed out every bad email that comes through, especially when you're dealing with things like pretexting, where they're pretending to be somebody else. They actually, what we're seeing a lot now is with, especially with the online emails, is they get somebody to provide their credentials via a phishing email, and then once they have their credentials, they log on to online email, and they'll send you an email, and it'll look like it's coming from that person. So there's no way to stop that kind of stuff happening. The only way to do it is around awareness.
Everyone in the planet who lives in the first or second world uses email and web, but they're all at risk every day, but they don't have the tools to adequately protect them. So the service providers have got the relationships, they've got the customers. This is an opportunity to bundle the next generation of security technologies that helps those people protect themselves from ransomware, malvertising, the things that are hurting them most every day. And they're not having the ability to buy those products today.
There are many tools out there which can do a lot of things, whether it's on-premise or off-premise, in their own data center, their private cloud, or in the public cloud. There are many tools which can handle some things. So Bitglass, for example, can handle anything going to and fro cloud and the mobile devices.
Service provider business is where a huge trend is going, and the idea is let someone else filter that information. So what they got to rely on is that service providers using technologies like a Javelin networks that's going to be able to detect when the attacker is physically present on their machine. So if they've compromised that email and they start to move around, that service provider being notified instantaneously the moment that attacker starts to move will be unbelievably advantageous for them to contain that breach.
As we've seen, there is no real one solution. There is no silver bullet that can stop malicious email. It is going to get through, phishing and spearphishing. Some will get clicked. It's a numbers game. People will click on it. They will install malware. Companies and service providers will have to react when that happens. We've learned what can be done, and we've learned there's a hard problem that, frankly, the industry is not completely solved yet, but there is good progress. We hope that you have found this documentary interesting, and you can learn more at netevents.org.